Just let me know, Ed. Okay. All right. Welcome, everyone. All right. I'm glad so many people are here. I think the food helps. Did everybody enjoy the muffins? They're good, yeah. So that's Charlie's wife's Christine's recipe. So and Charlie will be up here in a minute. But so how many people are here for the first time? All right, quite a few. So the ones that have been, how many people have been here more than 10 times? Yeah. All right. So welcome. And so for those that are new, welcome Springfield First Christian Church. This is a church my mom and my sister go to. They let us use this facility for free. So always want to thank them for that. And in the back, anytime there's two bathrooms on the back on the left there. So feel free at any time. And just to kind of, for those that are new, you probably already checked out the table there. We have a few things. So pick up the flyers. It has the class schedule for the full 13-week schedule. It's back there. The actual flyer, they're in the little tiny cutouts. There's a flyer for these actual classes. So share them with your friends, family, anyone you just hand them out. Feel free to grab those back there. We're a nonprofit, so 501c3 nonprofit called the Eugene Plant-Based Providers. I'm the board chair president of that nonprofit, and we support this program called Live Lifestyle Medicine. And if you're new to this, definitely take one of the cards that has the website on it, which this is one of the pages on the website. Um, Ed could show the home page, switch to the home page, and what I recommend doing there if you're new to it is about two-thirds the way down the homepage, you can watch what's called the website tutorial. It's about a 20-minute video of me giving a tour of the website, like what all the resources are, where they're all at, and we'll refer to a lot of the things on this website. If you're here for all 13 weeks of the classes, we'll refer to the website quite frequently. You'll see all the different resources that are there. So check that out, the tutorial. And then I highly recommend at the very top of the homepage, there's a subscribe to the newsletter tab there. So you can click on it and put in your name and your email, and then you'll receive a welcome newsletter initially right away when you sign up. And then every Sunday morning going forward, you'll receive a weekly update. And I really recommend that because it kind of tells you what the next classes are coming up, all the other classes. Charlie, I'll talk a little bit about, so Charlie teaches classes besides tonight. He teaches classes on Wednesdays and then two classes on Thursday afternoon. So if it's kind of late for you and you'd rather do a class on a Wednesday afternoon or a Thursday afternoon, there's options there as well. And then you'll always be up to date on what all the different classes are, the movie nights we do, the walks every Saturday with Walk with the Doc, we have potlucks and cooking demos and cooking classes, and just so a whole, not just the classes, but a whole community of events to support everyone. And so that's kind of the purpose of that. And I guess I didn't say my name, Scott Wagnon. I'm a physician associate since 2005, so 21 years. And I'll tell you just it's my brief story, and then I'll introduce some of our other members that are Eugene plant-based providers that are here tonight. And just for more of the housekeeping, also in the back, the lending library, most of you check that out, so utilize that. And then see what else. Oh, and then do have some fun because we do have carry liability insurance and have some overhead. So we're welcome donations. There's a donation jar back there. We also sell T-shirts. The Live Lifestyle Medicine ones like this is on one of the sign up sheets as for this shirt, and then the other shirt you probably saw back there, the plants are the best medicine. Those are also for sale. That's a different sheet back there. You can sign up for those. It costs $28. And then we also have Bottle Drop, and so we have a Bottle Drop account, and so you can take some of the bags back there, and if you just happen to be put in your cans and bottles and stuff in there and take it to a Bottle Drop location. There's a flyer back there for all the information you need for that. So that's also another way we fundraise. And then, but actually before I tell you my story, make sure I got everything else on here. So yeah, the food samples, that's a new thing we're trying. So every week we're going to have a different food to taste, to come and socialize that first half an hour between 6:30 and 7. So come then, and then that's when to check out the books too, because kind of our goal is to be out of here by 8:30 so we can get home. And so we'll have the library tore down during class, and then I'll have the other table still out there because that's all my stuff I got to put away when I'm done. But yeah, kind of our goal to get kind of so we can all get home by get out of here by 8:30. And then, yeah, and I mentioned the walk with the doc. So we used to do a walk every once a month, but we just recently converted a local oral surgeon in the area who, uh, what's his, Tim Tim Welch, Dr. Tim Welch. He's an oral surgeon in town, and he actually came to one of the talks Charlie gave for the Lane County Medical Society at the YMCA, and he's, oh, I just started this walk with the doc, and so we're joining with him, and we have flyers for that in the back, so anyone wants those. So that's every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock at the Greenway Bike Bridge there. So it's kind of at the west end of the Valley River parking lot there where the bike path is. So there's a different one of us there every week, and so there's somebody there every week though. So check that out. Yeah, river path, just the bike path. Yeah. Oh, the Delta Ponds. Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. It's great. It's great. So for those online, if they couldn't hear, it's just a plug for how great the walk location is, and we just have to be careful with the all the electric bikes that are zooming by there now. So that's one thing, but it's nice and shady, and it's really nice there. So come out for that. So that's one way to get one of your pillars of lifestyle medicine. And we focus a lot on the nutrition here, but we do talk about all the other pillars and social connection, the connectedness and stress management and physical activity and importance of sleep, and so all the other pillars which we cover throughout the series of classes. And then also volunteer. Do you want to say something, Trish? You can introduce yourself and then just mention the volunteer program that we're getting started.
My name is Trish, and I have recently taken over coordinating volunteers. So we're looking at new opportunities for people. An example of a volunteer activity might be next month, we're going to be doing a cooking demo at the farmers market, and we would love somebody to stand out and just hand out flyers for us. Or possibly doing a cooking demonstration like we had tonight. We might look into that as a volunteer. So, and then we're welcome for people who say, hey, I do this. I'd love to volunteer and offer this activity. So I'm your coordinator. Scott's putting the email in the weekly newsletter, and you can just reach out to me, and we'll eventually come up with a way to communicate with everyone, maybe a little app or a website that lets people see what activities might need a volunteer, and then you can just sign up when you need to.
And Trish is on our board, so we have a 7-member board for all the decisions we make with the nonprofit. So, all right. And then let's see. So yeah, I can let Charlie talk more about the Wednesday, Thursday classes when you do yours. Okay. And then oh yeah, we also, just a plug, we have a farm sanctuary tour is going to be coming up, but Pam's not here tonight. She's actually does one of the classes. She's a retired University of Oregon psychology professor, and she actually does one of the 13 classes, and she's going to be here next week, and so I'll let her talk about that. She actually volunteers at a farm sanctuary, and thought it'd be fun to kind of go out. She's going to set it up for us so we can have a group of us go out there and check it out. It's really fun to see the animals out there. And then the plug for the summer picnic this coming Saturday at 6 p.m. It's going to be at Island Park, because it might be raining in the forecast, but we're going to decide. Look, if you haven't signed up for the newsletter, do that tonight, because by tomorrow night I'm going to have the final say on where we're going to do it. There's always a chance we could do it here. It would be kind of crammed because usually 30, 40 people plus show up for that. So it'd be a little tight here, but or there's always a chance we could push it back to Sunday, July 5th, but we haven't decided. We're going to see what the forecast shows tomorrow, but it looks like it's less wet as we get closer. But and then yeah, I think it's all the announcements I have on there. And then so for me, My story is I used to I grew up in this area. I used to be a professional bicycle racer. I raced in Europe and went to Olympic trials in '88. Was always a really high performance athlete. And then was when I wasn't racing anymore, I kind of transitioned to doing long distance road cycling, just like I would do tours, fully loaded touring. I would do just physical challenges like in 2012, kind of when my story starts with my journey with the nutrition and lifestyle medicine. I rode my bike from here, from Eugene to San Francisco in 6 days with a friend. So like we knock out 130-mile days, just right. And I rode 7,000 miles that particular year, 2012. And that's when I was racing, that's usually what I would do, 7 to 10,000 miles a year on my bike. So I was always, really physically fit. But this was now in 2012. I was already in my early 40s at that time, so I wasn't racing, but just doing all these physical challenges. Yet I was overweight. I had high blood pressure. I had high cholesterol. I had pre-diabetes. I had heartburn every day, irritable bowel syndrome symptoms every day. So I wasn't on medications yet. But one of the things about being a medical provider is that you can kind of see your own future through your patients. It's like I wasn't on medication yet, but I was knew, oh my gosh, I'm going to be at high risk for heart disease. I'm going to have diabetes, all these things, and I'm going to be on medications. I got to do something different. So I knew it wasn't lack of exercise. I had plenty of that. And I felt like the other pillars, looking back in hindsight, my other pillars were good. I was sleeping well, had good relationships, stress was manageable, low. So I felt like I had a healthy lifestyle, but I didn't have the food part right, obviously. So that prompted me to study nutrition. I eventually found lifestyle medicine and transitioned. I didn't Charlie tell his story. He kind of went more all in. I kind of did it slowly over time. And after a year, so I went to a more whole food plant based diet. So a diet centered around whole plant foods, fruits, vegetables, beans, intact whole grains, nuts and seeds, herbs and spices. And I started reducing, not eliminating 100% right away, but reducing the animal products, the meat, the cheese, the eggs, the dairy, the added oils, the processed foods. So I started transitioning, and after a year, I dropped 47 pounds, dropped my cholesterol 100 points. My prediabetes went away. My blood pressure normalized. My irritable bowel went away. My heartburn went away. And then ever since then, maybe 2 to 3,000 miles a year on the bike instead of 7,000 miles a year. So with less exercise, I got my health back because I got the food right. So, and then I started teaching it to my patients. Eventually, became board certified in lifestyle medicine, and kind of the rest is history with that. But it's important to note to kind of share personal stories a little bit because what I always talk about this, and I did a lecture recently about how challenging nutrition can be, even lifestyle medicine can be, but nutrition especially because when you think about, we all kind of agree, oh, we should exercise more, we shouldn't smoke, we should sleep well, we should lower our stress. There's kind of an agreement amongst those things, whereas it's kind of common sense in a way. But then nutrition is not, because nutrition is food. And what is food? Food is, it's mom, it's grandma, it's culture, it's religion, it's social, it's personal. It's as personal as politics and religion, right? I mean, so food is very personal. And so it's important when we are up here talking about, hey, maybe make a different choice. Let's move towards choosing these foods instead of these foods. It delves into to things that are personal for us. And so it's important that you know where we're coming from, and that hey, that we're just teaching you the science here, but at the same time we have to respect the fact that food is all these other things. And so I think that's the reason I think it's important that we kind of share a little bit about ourselves with that. And then so Eric, do you want to introduce yourself? And
I'm Eric Colgrove. I'm a pediatrician at the community health centers of Lane County, and I've been a pediatrician for 28 years. So I've been doing that for a while, and really love working with children, and I work with of course, a lot of nutrition aspects of in pediatrics. And I became, by the way, whole food plant based through this class. I started attending about 5 years ago, and then became whole food plant based, and really changed everything about my career, my personal and work life because of this. So it's been great, wonderful journey. But what one thing that is true is that all all babies are love food, and here we have, a nation of food, but it's not really food. It's kind of like fake food, and so what what I really try to instill in my patients is that how do we take that love of food that babies naturally have? How do we basically expose them to real food early, and then not hijack their brains by giving them fake food? And so that's really what I try to get people to understand more about real foods, and what that does for our bodies, and what happens when your body is hijacked, which most everybody is. It's really not hard to get kids loving healthy whole foods when if you start from the very beginning. But you start corrupting their brains, their innocent little brains, with fake foods, and oh my gosh, it's their brains. It Yeah, it's just so much dopamine hits to their brain when you're feeding them processed foods that they have a hard time switching back, and they become picky eaters, and it's just a difficult road from there. Yeah. So, anyways, I look forward to talking with you more, and anytime you guys have any questions about family nutrition, pediatric nutrition, please feel free to talk to me anytime. I'm very happy to. And on the website is my email, my personal email, so answer, you can ask questions there or whatever. We want to pass it on.
And Eric's also on the newsletter too at the bottom for, yeah, but just exactly what he said, for advice, and his email's there, and he's also on the board. And then other people want to have Ed if he wants to say hello, and then I'll see if Jamie and Debbie want to say something.
Hello, I'm Ed. I sort of stumbled my way into this. Um, I came in very skeptical, decided to give it a try, and it worked so well I couldn't. Uh, I had no reason to go back to justify going back. Um, and I mentioned to Scott and Charlie that I had audiovisual experience, and and so here I am.
I already did. You have to go. Hi. Am I introducing myself? I'm Jamie Gorbett. I help a little bit with the board, and I'm becoming more passionate about this every day as I become a little bit better at it.
Hey, I'm Debbie Coulthard, and I'm a nurse, and I've been with Eugene Plant-Based Providers since we began, pretty much. And I met Scott because my doctor retired, and I wanted to find a plant-based provider. And I also want to know, is there anything going on where I can do as a nurse, help with this stuff? And Scott said, guess what? So I delivered a letter to the place where I knew he worked. And so that was wonderful. And I became plant-based overnight because I watched a documentary that was very upsetting, and I cried through it. And that was in 2015. And so originally it was all about the animals. And then the more I learned, it's all about the planet and the health of all of the animals, including us. So that's my story. And I've been thrilled to be part of this organization and loving being able to do what we do. So thank you.
So I'm Charlie Ross, and I've been a physician in Oregon for almost 50 years, which gives me no credentials actually to teach you anything about nutrition because I had no training in that. But my life changed about 14 years ago, which I'll tell you about in a minute. But as you can see, we're trying to develop a tribe of people that support each other in swimming upstream against what our culture is promoting. You all know what our culture promotes, right? It's the meat sweet diet. It's protein this and protein that, even protein in the water, whatever sense that makes. It's gotten away from what our actual food is, what our teeth are like. If you think about what your teeth are they more like like a lion and tiger with those ripping, tearing for meat, or are they more like the elephant and giraffe and gorilla that have teeth that eat plants and that grind their food? And if you look at our intestine, we have long intestines. Meat eaters have short intestines. And so if you look at our anatomy, we're really plant eaters, but that's not what our culture is promoting. Our culture is promoting the meat, sweet diet. And it's leading to so much chronic illness. The side effects connected with our diet are what concern me as a physician. And my first 33 to 5 years as a physician, my patients never got better, the ones with chronic illnesses, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol. I could give them pills that could lower a number, lower the blood sugar, lower the cholesterol level. But it really didn't treat why they had those, and it didn't stop the progression of the diseases, the heart disease, the complications with diabetes, the complications with kidney function failing, resulting in patients needing to get on dialysis. I had no clue that there was something I could actually do about these chronic illnesses. So I limped along my first 8 years with family medicine. I loved it. I saw patients, they came in to see me. And those first number of years were a kick. I thought I was doing God's work, so to speak. I'd go out and do house calls, and I would, meet the ambulance out in the field, and people would come into the office to see me, and thanks, doc. But rarely did I actually receive any notes. Someone sat down and said, I really thank you for what you've done here. Pretty soon, I started seeing the same patients over and over with their chronic back pain and their muscle aches and their headaches and their heartaches and all the things that I didn't have a solution for because all the pills I was pushing were not working. So I went into emergency medicine, and that was a kick. Shocking a heart back to life, sewing up a laceration, fixing a broken bone. But that was only about 20% of the practice. 80% of the people who come into the emergency department come in with their chronic illnesses, their diabetes complications, their chest pain from the heart disease that they have, all the complications that they have, the depression they have for having to take so many pills in their life. They bring in bags of pills. And pretty soon that was starting to get pretty old. And then along came Sanjay Gupta, and he changed my life. Sanjay Gupta reviewed a study at the Cleveland Clinic. My wife and I were watching this about 14 and a half years ago. It's reviewed in this book. It's the book that changed our life pretty much, Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease. So if you haven't read this, I'd encourage you to do it. Half of the book is recipes, by the way. But anyway, Sanjay Gupta said, they took people with end-stage heart disease, patients who kept having one heart attack after another at the Cleveland Clinic. 5 of these people were told, you better get your affairs in order because you're probably not going to live the year out. Your life's coming to an end. He took these people and put them on a extreme diet. Now, think about this. An extreme diet versus getting your chest cracked because you have heart disease. Which is more extreme to you? Changing what you eat or actually having your chest cracked on the operating table? That's what these classes are about, what we're going to be talking to you about, and trying to convince you by you looking at the science and making a decision that you may want to do something different with your life. Well, anyway, he took these people, he told them, do not eat anything that has a mother. or has a face. Do not eat processed foods. Do not eat hot foods high in fat content with like a lot of nuts and oils and highly processed plant foods. Put that aside. And he met with them every 2 weeks to keep them on track for 5 years. At the end of 5 years, these patients who kept having one heart attack or bypass or stent after another stopped having those. They were all alive at the end of 5 years, even those who were told, get your affairs in order. And they had no further heart attacks, bypasses, or stents. Do you think that got my attention? It did. There was one guy, however, who said, I feel so good, I'm going back and eating how I used to eat. And he wound up with another bypass by year 6. He fortunately went back on Esselstyn's program, and they all lived past 10 years, past 15 years, past 20 years. My wife looks over at me and says, Charlie, should we do this? And what was my first thought? No, there is no way that I am going to do this. Why was there no way that I wanted to do this? It was because I loved what I was eating. I'm 63 years of age, and what's the sense in living if you can't enjoy your food? I mean, food is so important, and I love my food. I love my burgers. I love fried chicken. I love French fries. I loved ice cream every night. I had to have a tablespoon of either Rocky Road or something with chocolate in it before I went to bed. It was like, I didn't realize I was like, was that an addiction? Maybe. But why would I want not to eat those things? And then there was a little voice on my shoulder that said, hey, Charlie, your wife's dad died in his early 40s, first heart attack, didn't have a second chance. Your wife's mother and brother have both had their chests cracked open, bypass surgery for their heart disease. Your wife is as old as they were when they had their procedure. She is next in line. Do you want a new wife? I thought about that a moment. I loved my wife, and I still do, fortunately. She is alive and well. And by the way, has no evidence of heart disease at 77. She just turned this last Sunday. So how did she survive without having the same heart disease that her other family members developed? Well, I decided we could do this in my mind. I decided I could do this for a month. If it was working and she was feeling okay, I thought that this was really weird, by the way. I didn't believe it would make any difference in my life. Didn't really believe it would make a difference in her life. But I could do it for a month, and at the end of the month, she could keep doing it, and I'll go back and eat how I want. She laughs because she says, who makes the food? Well, I could sneak food. That's how I thought about it. When I was out working, I could buy whatever I wanted. So I said to her, okay, we could do this. Let's start. We'll do it for a month. We pulled every meat, dairy, eggs, put it into bags and boxes. We were stocked up like we were ready for a nuclear war. We had so much animal products and processed foods. We put it in these boxes and bags, and we gave it to our kids. We didn't realize, I had no realization that this was poison I'm giving to my own kids. I look back about it, and I can only smile at myself at how little knowledge I had about nutrition and the importance of what I was transitioning to. And so they thought it was Christmas. They loved it, but they also said, hey, is this some midlife crisis? Do you have cancer? What's wrong with you? Why are you giving us all this stuff? They thought it was great. Anyway, bottom line, first month, never hungry a day. Why was I never hungry a day? Because in order to have enough calories in the day, I had to eat more food. So I was always feeling full. And at the end of the month, never hungry for one day, no additional exercise. My weight came down 10 pounds. I'm now 35 pounds lighter. My cholesterol level is what caused me to jump up and down like, wow, this is incredible. My cholesterol was 240, 240, 240 forever. I tried one statin after another. They gave me diarrhea so bad I had to change my clothes at work. I swore I'd rather die than keep taking these pills. I took niacin. It burned my head so bad. I swore it was bad. I'm not taking that. But eating food, whole plant food for 1 month, 30 days, my cholesterol dropped from 240 to 148. Almost 100 points. And a few months later, it was down to 135. I was so excited I could hardly stand it. And so I started telling other people about this. I've got a kind of a big mouth. So the people at work, I told them, the people who were taking dance lessons from my dad, I told them, the neighbors across the street, I told everybody, the plumber comes into my house, I'm telling them. Over the next year, 4 people got off their high blood pressure medicine, their statin lowering, cholesterol lowering medicine. They lost weight. They improved their diabetes. It was so dramatic. I said, I got to do something different with my life. Here I'm treating people in the emergency department for they're falling in the river and dying of their disease. I got to keep them from falling in the river. How do I do that? I tell them what I did. And so I gave up that and went into teaching these classes in Roseburg, Oregon. It was a program called the CHIP program, Complete Health Improvement, and it became PIVIO. And PIVIO is currently still ongoing, but they wanted $600, $650, $600 a class, and people didn't want to pay that. 3 people came to the first class in Roseburg. And then I cut the fee in half to $300 because that's what they charged me for the class. And 20 people came, but they still didn't really want to pay. So I cut the fee to nothing by looking up videos online at Gregor's site and other kinds of things, and simulated the same program and could charge nothing. And so then there were 40 people that came, and then 80, then 135. And we had to split the class into 2 different days because there were too many people. And now they have those same classes, 145 people showing up for a class just like this. Now, Roseburg is a lot smaller than Eugene Springfield. It took a number of years for the physicians and the medical community to get on board and begin referring their people to these classes. That's what we're currently trying to do now, is get people to refer their friends, their family, get the medical profession on board to refer people. Just 1 patient a week would make a difference, but it's hard. This is not an easy task because most doctors have not had the understanding of the importance of doing this. They don't come to these classes. They've got too many other things to do. They had no other training. So you heard there are a couple classes different. There's these evening classes. The evening classes are wonderful. They're wonderful because you have a huge variety of different people. And I encourage you to come to these classes because you'll hear from the cardiologist, you'll hear from the pediatrician, you'll hear from the psychologist, you'll hear from substance abuse person, physical therapy even. And so you get this variety on a weekly basis pretty much. Then there are the other classes that Scott alluded to. I give classes because I'm the retired guy. I don't have a job that I have to work at like all the rest of the members here. And so I can do Wednesday and Thursday, Wednesday at Natural Grocers in the afternoon. We can do the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I can do Riverbend Annex on Thursday afternoon, and an online class in the afternoon from 5 to 6. So if you can make the evening, I really encourage you to do that. Bring your friends and family here. But if you can't, come to the afternoon sessions. You'll have to put up with me for each of those sessions. You don't get the same variety, but we go over similar kinds of topics. Okay? That's all I have to say about that. Now, I want to get the first slide, if we can pull that up. Go to the next slide. There were both of us that are certified in lifestyle medicine, by the way. Scott was the first to do it. I didn't want to do it because I had 2 other certifications, and I said, I got to support what I really believe in. So I became board certified in lifestyle medicine. That's this latest medical specialty where you deal with the root causes of disease. What are they? What you eat, how you move, the chemicals you choose, how you deal with stress, your connectedness. And connectedness could be social, could be religious, could be nature, connectedness. And the last is sleep. I didn't realize how important sleep was until I went through this certification. And I have to thank Scott for that. Now, before we go a little further, go to the next slide, if we can. Okay, before you push the next button, I told you my patients never got better when my first 33 years before I changed what I was doing in my life. When I changed it, started teaching my patients what I was doing, guess what happened? I carry this around with me all the time. I still can stand on one leg. At 77, going to be 78. I love my life, by the way. I love what I'm eating after these number of years. And the fact that my wife has no evidence of heart disease is so great. But this is another reason that we keep doing all these classes. You know what these are? These were cards and letters that were old technology from people. That's what they used to send me when they had change in their life. And then what's the new technology? These are emails that we've kind of printed off. I haven't saved them all, but I get 1 or 2 of these usually a week now. What are they saying? Thank you. I got off of my high blood pressure pills. I got it. My diabetes has been reversed. My cholesterol level is lower. My kidney disease is improved from stage 3 to my almost have normal function now. My pain is better. My mood is better. And there are 3 of these who told me my partner's erectile dysfunction cleared in 6 months. They were especially happy notes. All right. None of us want to live in chronic illness. We all are going to die at some point in time. The way I want to go is like this. I want to live my life until whenever I am, whatever number that it is, whether it's 78, 9, 80, 90, 100, whatever that number is. I don't want my last 10 years in chronic illness. So let me illustrate. Let's play this video.
What will your last 10 years look like? Will you be quick enough for a game of tag with your grandchild? Strong enough to embrace every moment? Will you grow old with vitality? Or get old with disease? It's time to decide. The average Canadian will spend their last 10 years in sickness. Change your future at makehealthlast.ca.
This is not just the average Canadian. It's the average person who lives in the good old United States of America. Last 10 years. There's a chart that Scott has been kind enough to share with us, his artwork. You know, I want to live my life with that, like you live and then you just don't wake up. You know, you like fall off the cliff. But I don't want to live like my last 10 years on a downhill course. And I'm sure most of you don't want that for yourself either. Next slide. We're going to run through a few of these. There is so much confusion. You do not know who to trust in this world. You read one thing that coconut oil is the best thing since sliced cheese, and then you read another article that says coconut oil has so much saturated fat, it clogs your arteries. It's not healthy. Spoiler alert, coconut oil, good on your skin, not so healthy, putting it in your mouth. Next slide. There are people we trust. One of them is Dr. Michael Greger. We've been watching him for 14 years or 13. A medical student turned me on to that site, said, you got to look at this. This guy is talking about everything you're talking about. And I blew off, what does a medical student know about nutrition? But he knew a lot. And I listened to this site every single day almost, at least 5 times a week. I'm listening to one of his videos on a regular basis. When I exercise, I learned so much. I learned what I forgot from 5 years ago. It's really worth focusing in. I've shared my story. Let's go to the next slide. And here's my lovely wife, Christine. And you had some of her muffin tonight. She started that back in Roseburg, and it's continued on here. Next slide. I went over the testimonials with you with the emails. Next slide. We talked about the different lifestyle pillars. There's 6 of them, and you'll hear more about those if you keep coming to classes. Next slide. Chronic inflammation is something that you want to reduce in your life. And most of us have not been trained that the foods we eat, like the meat, dairy, and eggs that we choose, they break down into free radicals. Free radicals are molecules that steal electrons from other molecules, like from your DNA. They set up an inflammatory process that leads to illness. You do not want inflammation on a chronic basis. For an acute basis, you do. If you cut yourself, you get some inflammation and it heals your body. But when that keeps going, like if you hit yourself with a hammer and you keep hitting yourself and the chronic inflammation persists, that's when you develop diseases like cancer, osteoporosis, diabetes, fatty liver, heart disease. I'm just reading through psoriasis, COPD, chronic renal failure, sepsis, stroke, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, and other dementias. You do not want inflammation. Let's go to the next slide. Where do you get inflammation? Let's start with our foods. Which are the foods that cause inflammation? It's not just the meat, dairy, and eggs that I mentioned. It's the processed foods. It's meats and cheeses and refined carbohydrates, the white bread, the white rice, the pasta, and the breakfast cereals with added sugars. They're not healthy, but everybody seems to be eating those, and the rest of the world is jumping on the board. Why? Why are they jumping on board? Because those foods increase your dopamine, your feel-good hormone. You want to eat those, but they're not healthy for you. They lead to inflammation. Sodas, sugary drinks, sweets, packaged snacks. We all know chips and cookies and crackers and pastries are not healthy. Fried foods, we don't understand how unhealthy they are. Cooking oils are not the healthiest choice. Food sensitivities are not good. Artificial sweeteners. We used to think, oh, good, you're not getting so many calories, but the artificial sweeteners bust your gut microbiome up a bit. You know, it breaks down the barrier in your gut, so you get leaky gut with some of these chemicals. You don't want that. You want a healthy microbiome. Dairy and eggs are also not healthy choices. Now, there are other things that could cause inflammation. If you're a couch potato and you're sedentary, that's not good. If you smoke or drink alcohol, not very healthy. And lack of sleep, lack of social support, overwhelming stress. Now, I forgot to mention to you, some of you, many of you, are not going to like what we talk about here. You like the foods that you're eating, and I just mentioned a number of them that you have in your cupboards right now, waiting for you to gobble them up and enjoy them. And you're saying, wait a second, do I really want to come to another class? I hope that you will give it a few more tries. Next slide. There are organizations that understand the benefits of a more whole food, plant-based lifestyle. Let's go to the next slide. The American Medical Association back 9 years ago said it was a resolution co-sponsored by the American College of Cardiology that hospitals should be providing plant-based meals that are low in fat, sodium, and added sugars, eliminate processed meats, and only serve healthful beverages. Every time you walk into a hospital, you see those Coke and Pepsi and sweetened drinks. They didn't get the message. I guess this got sent into hyperspace. I don't know where it went, but they haven't gotten the message yet. Next slide. There are associations, a lot, that are promoting a more plant-based diet for human health and environmental sustainability. Many countries in the world, Canada, Brazil, Germany, Qatar, the Netherlands, Denmark, Finland, Sweden, smart countries. They look at the science. Why can't we? Why don't we look at the science? Because we haven't done what Canada has done. What did Canada do a few years ago? They said, we're not having any industry influence on our committees for the food guidelines. We're going to just listen to the scientists. What happens in the good old US of A? The money talks. The food industry, very powerful. Pharmaceutical industry, very powerful. They are the committees that make our health decisions are weighted in favor of these industries. And if you continue to follow that without speaking out or making changes in your own life, you may suffer the consequences of the side effects of the money talking. Next slide. My wife says, calm down, Charlie. It'll be okay. I do get a little excited at times. All right. There is hope. 3 years ago, residency training for doctors had just about 3 years ago, 10 residency programs had lifestyle medicine incorporated into the training. Like, oh, they're really starting to train doctors about this? Now, or last year, 369 programs. There is hope. What's missing is classes like this throughout the whole country where people can come at a grassroots level and learn about this. Because even if the doctors learn, hey, this is healthier for you to eat this way, then they start promoting it. Unless the population is educated, they're not going to do it. They're going to keep eating what grandma and mom used to make for them. Next slide. What we eat, how we move. Let's go to the next slide. We already went over this. The problem is, keep going, next slide, is we live 4 years less than the nearest industrialized country closest to us, but we spend twice as much on our health care. There's something wrong with that. Next slide. 7 to 8 out of 10 people with chronic illness might not have to suffer these diseases should they make different lifestyle choices. And what are they? Heart disease, including erectile dysfunction, diabetes mellitus, kidney disease, obesity, cancer, autoimmune, and GI issues. Keep going. You'll learn more about those as time goes on. Why our food has been altered. Let's go to the next slide. This is a slide which I want you to kind of look at briefly. We're going to compare in 1900, right, this column, to 2010. I know the statistics. It hasn't gotten better. It's only getting worse. In sugar, in 1900, the average American used to eat 5 pounds of sugar per year. In 2010, it was up to 77 pounds of sugar per year per person. And now it's up to 100. That's where that number comes from. I looked up last year. It's 100 pounds of sugar per person per year. Oils and fats have gone from 4 pounds per person per year to 74 pounds. The cheese has gone from 2 pounds to 30 pounds. The calories have gone up 600 calories. The nutrient density, that's the vitamins and minerals and the nutrients that our bodies require, has gone down 40 to 60%. The soft drinks have gone from 0 to 53 gallons a year, and I drink 0, so someone is drinking 106 gallons a year. Fiber. This is what I want you to focus your attention on. If you remember one thing from this talk, I want to kind of imprint on your brains the importance of fiber. We, and the average, get 14 to 15 grams of fiber every day. But what did we used to eat? 60, 80, and 100 grams. And when we look around the world, the blue zones, the healthiest and longest lived populations from, 30 years ago in the world, they are eating 60, 80, and 100 grams of fiber. Where do you get fiber? Anyone? Plants. Where is the fiber located in the plants? It's in the cell wall. The cell wall of plants holds the nucleus, the DNA, it holds the protein, carbohydrate, and fat inside. How about animal cells? Do they have cell walls? No, they have a cell membrane. The cell membrane is very flimsy, easily busted by the hydrochloric acid, by the pancreatic juices. And when it gets busted up high in your intestine, where do those protein, carbohydrate, and fats get absorbed? High up in your intestine. What about plants? They don't get busted, the cell wall. It's resistant to digestion high in your intestinal tract. It has to go all the way down to your microbiome, the trillions of bacteria, and be fermented low down. Low down, you have L cells. L cells produce GLP-1. That's Ozempic and Wegovy, the weight loss drugs, the anti-diabetic drugs that are important. You can make your own. You will not make your own if you highly process the plant foods and bust the cell walls a lot, and the protein, carbohydrate, and fat gets released up high and gets absorbed up high. You need to eat it as close to you can as it grows in nature. So it needs to be fermented in the microbiome. The science is so fascinating. I get excited about talking about it because it's so interesting. But fiber does so much. Next slide. How much fiber? We went over how much fiber. Our country recommends 25 to 35 grams a day. But again, that's a compromise. The countries and communities that have no heart trouble and diabetes and overweight are eating 60, 80, and 100 grams of fiber. Only plants have fiber, no fiber in any animal product. They have bones as their skeleton. And the benefits, your microbiome, those trillions of bacteria, they use fiber as their food. They break it down during this fermentation process to butyrate, which is anti-inflammatory. It cuts down on inflammation. Remember, inflammation is bad. Butyrate is good. Also, serotonin. Have you heard that? Serotonin is your feel-good hormone. Anti-anxiety, antidepressant medicines are serotonin reuptake inhibitors. You want more of that. You don't want less. But if you starve your bacteria by eating small amounts of fiber that most of us in the US of A are eating, you're not going to feel as good. Your mood will not be as good. You'll have more anxiety and depression. For every 10 grams of fiber that you add to your diet, you decrease your colon cancer risk by 10%. You will decrease your heart attack risk by 10%. Your breast cancer risk by about 7 to 8%. You'll decrease your risk for diabetes by 9%. And for every 14 grams of fiber, you'll actually eat 10% less calories and be just as satisfied. Fiber is a whole topic on its own. We'll be doing a lecture many weeks down the road here at some of the other classes sooner. Next. This here, you say, okay, Charlie, I get it. Plants are healthy. But wait a second. Protein. Where do you get your protein? Anybody have that question? Everybody gets that question when you talk to your friends or family. Where do you get your protein? I have spent so much of my time explaining all protein originates from plants. Here's the plant standing here on the ground. It grabs the nitrogen gas out of the air, splits it, and makes amino acids. Every plant makes every amino acid that you need for your health. You come along and eat the plant, you'll get all the amino acids to make your own protein, just like the cow, the pig, the chicken, how they make their protein. When you depend on animals for your protein source, what is missing? It's the fiber. Those animals, they metabolize the fiber. It gets lost. You get protein, yes. But along with the protein, you get excess saturated fat and zero fiber. There is no benefit in eating animals for your health. That is not the message that our culture promotes. This is swimming upstream against the current, but someone has to do it. And we need to understand this, that the food industry has done an excellent job in advertising and in convincing our brain that we need some animal for our health, that there's something special about animal protein. The only thing special is that you get less fiber and you get more ill health, more saturated fat, more clogged heart arteries. Next slide. Oh, wait a second. Go back. Thanks, Ed. Cholesterol. You see how much you get? No cholesterol in plants. You get very little fat. Protein is almost identical if you compare 500 calories of plant food with 500 calories of animal food. But look at the fiber. No fiber in animals, 30 grams in the plants, and look at all the other vitamins and minerals, the calcium, magnesium, the folate, how much higher they are in plants compared to animals. You don't need to go out and buy all those supplements unless you're eating a standard American diet, the SAD diet. Next slide. I used to be the standard American doctor, eating the standard American diet. It was sad. And I'm standing here before you doing penance for all the pills I used to push. I didn't know any better. Okay, next slide. This I saw in Valley River a few years ago. I thought it was a joke, but we went to the next slide. And I went over to the court, and sure enough, there is Toxic, the food court restaurant that says toxic wings, burgers, and fries. The truth is often said in jest, and wings, burgers, and fries is toxic. It causes inflammation, not a healthy place to be eating. Next slide. There are so many other things I want to talk to you about, but we have just so much time, so we're going to skip this slide and go on to this slide. This is the slide that demonstrates why my wife and I chose to change what we're eating. It's one of the only 2 studies in the world literature, the Cleveland Clinic study and the study at the Dean Ornish in Southern California, that shows, what does it show here? There's a narrowed coronary artery here. The white stuff is the artery tracking down the heart. 1 to 3 years later shows the same artery. What does it look like now? Is it narrow or is it opened up? That was no stent, no bypass, just food. Food allowed the body to heal itself. If you just use food, 34% of the people unclog their arteries. If you use food and all these other lifestyle changes, 84% unclog their arteries. So the more lifestyle changes you make, the healthier you'll be. Next slide. The blue zones are the people who live the longest and healthiest. Next slide. What do they have in common? They have good family support, no smoking, plant-based diets, about 90 to 95%, constant moderate physical activity, social engagement, and they eat legumes, beans, lentils, chickpeas, split peas. Next slide. I don't like to fight, but I sure would not mind a body like either of these guys have. And all they eat is plants. Next slide. Carl Lewis, next slide. The Williams sisters and Djokovic are plant-based people. Next slide. Football players and the Tennessee Titans improved by going mostly plant-based. Next slide. These guys look like they're anorexic, but they are ultra marathoners. And it's pretty impressive. I'm just going to tell you about one, Scott Jurek. He holds the world record in miles run in 24 hours. A marathon is 26.2 miles. Do you know how many miles he ran in 24 hours? 167 miles. Many marathons, and all he eats is plants. Does he get enough protein? You might not think so by looking at his body. He has like 3% body fat. That's what ultra marathoners look like. They have very little body fat. He is healthy. And so is Rich Roll, who does Ironman contests. He did 5 of them in 1 week, 5 different Hawaiian islands. Doing one of them would be enough to do me in probably, but let's go to the next slide. Scott might be able to do it. The resources here are all free in our sessions. Everything we do, we want this to be available to anyone, regardless of their ability to pay. We have the weekly classes. We think about these classes as support groups. We will do free counseling for people who need help with their behavior change. We do it on the phone. We do it by Zoom. We do it not in the people's homes generally. A lot of people have asked me, will you come out to my home? I'm not doing that, but I am talking on the phone, and it is helpful for a lot of people to talk on the phone or by Zoom. Consider sending one of your 2 patients a day. This must have been a slide where we gave to the doctors. And then nutritionfacts.org and Physician Committee for Responsible Medicine are sites that we'd like you to go to. Now, we have almost 10 minutes to answer your questions, have fun with you. Scott and I will finish this session off. Yes. Scott, did we get Clapper's speech on our website yet? Yes, it's on. You go to the videos and it's there. And if you want to hear a wonderful talk, Dr. Michael Clapper, he's a very engaging speaker, and you would really enjoy it. You're welcome. Any other questions? We didn't want to silence the room. We wanted you to say, well, wait, what about eggs? Or what about oil? Or, hey, butter. Isn't butter back? If you read Newsweek. Anybody? Yes.
So I had a goal to release some of my fat, okay? And I looked at a number of resources. I still eat meat at this point in my life. And I am concerned about getting enough protein because of age, and everything I'm hearing is as we age, we tend to lose muscle. Lose muscle.
Yeah.
And
Sarcopenia, it's called.
So, pardon me?
Sarcopenia is what it's called.
So I guess, and I wonder, because I want to also lose weight overall healthfully.
Yes.
How do you know you're getting enough calories to get enough protein when you go all veggie or vegan?
Okay, if you stick with the classes and you come to listen to Scott when he talks about calorie density and the kind of foods that you need to be incorporating into your diet, the legumes, the whole grains, the fruit and the vegetables in quantities that maybe you're not used to eating as much, you're going to need to fill yourself up a little bit more.
Okay.
You're going to have to eat more.
I'll stay tuned.
Stay tuned. And as far as your muscles, the one thing, don't depend on food or a supplement. You need to be doing some weight bearing resistance. That is the key that's missed in all of this. Everybody says, oh, I got to eat more protein. But it's not the protein that's going to do that. It's really the resistance and the exercise in your life. Let's stick with it. Yes.
Yeah, Christopher Gardner's
Protein.
thing on protein on your website.
No, that yeah.
So if you go to YouTube and look up Christopher Gardner protein, that should really help you understand. I'm going to repeat this. You want to look up on YouTube Christopher Gardner. He's a MD.
PhD, and he teaches.
Researcher.
Yeah, research.
He's a nutrition professor at Stanford, and so he has a PhD in nutrition. But yeah, if you do that on YouTube, it's really cool. He was actually just at the conference I was at in San Diego a couple months ago, and he tells it's a really good lecture about he compares protein to playing a game of Scrabble. It's really interesting. Like here's all the amino acids and how you have a limited number. There's how in Scrabble there's different amounts of the different letters, right? And so like you can't store protein, so you have to eat the right amount and everything. You can't store it. It gets stored as fat basically. So if you're eating extra calories from protein, which is one of your macronutrients, carbohydrate, fat, protein, that's where we get our calories from. You're going to store excess in fat. So you can't stockpile protein. So you just have to, what we talk about is you get enough calories, you get enough protein. Your appetite will always protect your lean body mass. So unless you're like chronically ill on chemo, really sick, your appetite will always protect your lean body mass. And so you just need to eat enough calories and be full and satisfied, and then get that resistance exercise to maintain the muscle mass. Because the goal is to maintain or build muscle mass if you're already lacking, and get rid of excess body fat. That's what we don't want, right? So we want to be leaner people, but protect our muscle mass. And so as long as you're getting enough calories, we will talk a little bit more about protein over weeks. But yeah, if you really want to jump ahead, you can just Christopher Gardner protein talk on YouTube. It's really good. He was actually also on the Dietary Guidelines for Americans Committee, scientific committee that came out with the guidelines that the administration threw out because once industry got a hold of it, they threw out the actual science that was there and did their own thing. So yeah.
But Minnesota and Canada took very off.
Yeah, so Charlie was mentioning that how Canada didn't let industry influence their guidelines, and so that's why dairy is not included in the Canadian guidelines. So it's just what's the it's not completely vegan or anything like that. You can choose to eat meat. That's fine. It's just they do show like, hey, if you substitute more plant sources of protein for animal sources of protein, you'll do better. You'll live longer. You'll have less disease. So to eat more plant sources of protein, the highest are your beans and legumes and things like that. But problem with the Canada guidelines is that they don't have policy surrounding their guidelines. It's just like, oh, this is just what the scientific community in Canada, the nutritional scientists recommend that Canadians eat. Here you go. But there's no like teeth to it, so to speak. Whereas our guidelines do have a lot of policy tied to them. It's the CHIP, SNAP program, the WIC program, the school lunch program, what they serve in hospitals, nursing homes, schools, all that kind of stuff. So our guidelines do have a lot of teeth to them, but then we let industry influence it. So that's a great combination.
Jesus. Okay. Which one is the complete protein? Like cereal or combination with the leguminous, or if we have some complete like quinoa or
Yeah, so which is
or like
so what the question is, what's a complete protein? Actually, all plant foods have all necessary amino acids. So they all have different amounts of the different amino acids, but they're all complete proteins. The only food that's an incomplete protein is an animal food. It's gelatin. So if you were to just eat gelatin, you would be short in your amino acids, and it would be good. But all plants have all of the amino acids, essential and non-essential amino acids. So the whole myth about having to complement proteins, like you got to eat beans and rice, you got to eat this and that. It's like, no, you don't actually. You just need to eat. Of course, you want to eat a variety of plant foods, and because it's going to be healthier for you anyway, for all the other nutrients and stuff. And that's where that talk about the Scrabble game is really makes it make sense. Christopher Gardner, because he talks about that and about how you might get more certain letters in a game of Scrabble. You have more A's than C's or whatever. And so it's kind of that way with amino acids too. Some foods have a little more in certain ones, and some have a little bit less in certain ones. But when he puts up this color plot of all the amino acids of all these different foods, and he compares all animal foods and all plant foods, they look almost identical. Like you can't even really tell the difference. You're gonna, whether you eat animal foods or plant foods, you're gonna get all the protein you need, all the amino acids you need. So then it becomes, well, what's the healthier what's the healthier food packages to get our protein from over and over again? So plants, not only for human health, but for planetary health, sustainability, all those things, better for the animals, all that stuff.
What about creatine?
Creatine, yeah. So there are some good studies that a little extra creatine can help build muscle. So Dr. Greger, if you were interested in that, go to nutritionfacts.org and type in creatine. And Dr. Greger has some videos there. You can see about it. You don't want to do too much. Several years ago, they were like, oh, it can harm your kidneys if you're eating too much. And if you still have kidney disease, you can't take unlimited amounts. It could be part of the kidneys. But if you're taking just the smaller amounts, a lot of bodybuilders and stuff take it, and it seems to be safe in kind of moderate amounts. You got a question, Nancy? Yeah.
So my story is about 4 to 5 years ago, I had cancer. So I had, they treated it with cisplatin. So I think I'm actually dealing with the cisplatin poison. Now, I was down to 149 pounds about 2 weeks ago. I'm now 156. So I'm coming back, and your question about protein is particularly important to me because my wife's doing a hell of a job.
It's about 100 grams a day.
Yeah, she's doing a hell of a job of giving me protein every day. So, you know, what is it, 6 pounds?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I've had to go about 6 pounds with the positive. Then coming back to 165, which is my normal body weight. I'll make it. So I just wanted to add that through.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah, and kind of goes back to what I was saying about, you have to pay more attention if you're already, because you were sick or you had cancer, you're on chemo, and you're trying to come back, then you have to pay a little bit more attention to the quality of the calories you're getting, make sure you're getting enough calories and enough protein. Because one of the things when we're more elderly is our appetites tend to go down a bit. And so we don't eat as much as we did when we were having more muscle mass and we were much more active. We tend to eat a little bit less. And so then we need to be a little bit more mindful of what we are choosing to eat, not just eating too calorie dilute foods, too much processed food. We want to make sure that what we do eat is high quality. Did you have a question back there?
If you eat too much cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, can you overdose on that?
If people don't tend to binge too much on cabbage, cauliflower, does anybody go to 7-Eleven?
I looked it up on Google and it said if you eat more than like 3 cups a day, you can cause your thyroid to quit working different things.
So he's talking about cruciferous vegetables. So if you eat an obscene amount of cruciferous vegetables, it might suppress your thyroid. There's some truth to that. But that's why we say we want to eat the colors of the rainbow, eat a wide variety of foods. We don't want to eat like a cabbage diet or a cauliflower only diet, or because you're just going to limit yourself and could run into problems if you're going too extreme on one particular.
I guess my question is, if you eat, let's say, cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, kale, grow it in your garden and eat them. And if you eat, say, 3 helpings a day, is that gonna overdose you?
No. So the question is just eating, a reasonable amount. What is it? Regular 3 to 5 servings of cruciferous vegetables a day.
Yeah, so I know for myself, I eat 4 handfuls of dark green leafies a day, broccoli and collard greens and whatever. If you were eating 10 to 15 handfuls a day, that might be problematic, but the bottom line is if you eat a variety, 3 servings of legumes, 3 servings of whole grain, 5 servings of vegetable, 4 servings of fruit. That's what Gregor recommends. You'll get plenty to eat. You won't have to worry about eating more than 3 or 4 servings of dark green leafies, but they're healthy and they'll help you lose weight.
How much is a serving?
A serving is like a handful.
Like a cup.
A cup.
A cup for vegetables is like a cup, but grains is like a half a cup, beans is a half a cup for serving.
And you can download Gregor's Daily Dozen. We can go over that.
Dr. Gregor's Daily Dozen is
it's a free app.
Free app on your phone. It kind of gives you the examples of what a serving is and all the different categories of food. And there's a little stand out there that has the Daily Dozen on it. I think it was over by the muffins samples was over there. And so and next week's going to be meal preparation and planning. So I'll also bring the traffic light handout. You can all get a copy of the traffic light handout, which is green light, yellow light, red light foods. So you can, green light means eat as much as you want, yellow light means in moderation, red light means try to limit as much as you can. It's kind of like good analogy is, you can go through a green light as many times as you want, you're not going to likely get in an accident, right? But if you run yellow lights too much, you might eventually either gain too much weight, or not be able to reverse your diabetes, or they're still healthy, they're still okay. Yellow light, but you can't overdo it. The more times you run a yellow light, you'll probably get an accident or have some problems. Then red lights, you're just playing Russian roulette. Eating red light foods, you can only get away with eating so often because if you're running too many red lights, you'll get in an accident. So it's not an all or nothing thing. Whole food plant-based diet in the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, who we got board certified in, we're not promoting a particular like a vegan diet or anything like that. It's a spectrum. So let's eat a more plant forward, plant predominant, unprocessed food diet. And everyone's in a different place, right? And everyone has different reasons. For me, it was more for my health, but then as time went on, I kind of lost my taste for meat, and I I love the fact that it doesn't harm the environment, it doesn't harm the animals. So I've kind of have more reasons to not eat it now. So not only just lost my taste, but so everyone comes from a different perspective. And some people come see me in the clinic and they're not on any medications. They don't have high blood pressure, high cholesterol. They're just, getting their wellness exam for work or something, and they're pretty healthy. But then I still give them the same information, and they might say, "Oh yeah, I already, don't eat hardly any animals, or I'm transitioning away because I know it's bad for the environment and love animals." So everyone has a different reason for making their lifestyle changes. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I belong to a men's group, and I've got up the kind of eating that I'm starting to do more and more of these days. How do you handle some of those? Well, I really love my fries, you guys. How do you handle this?
Yeah. So
I really love my steaks.
yeah, I tell them, yeah, I really loved it too, but I really enjoy this place called Health that I'm at right now. It's like going on a vacation to a place that feels so good. I love what I'm eating. I love my health. I don't want to have chronic disease, and you get to eat what you want. And the studies, if you want to look at them, I tell this to the people I play tennis with, and actually a couple of them said, "Can you do consult?" When they start developing some illness, like high blood pressure or something like that. Yeah, we're ready now to listen to the message. Now remember, you don't have to do this all at one fell swoop like I did. You could do this gradually, more like Scott did it. This is not an all or nothing. If you are having chest pain and your doctor says, "I think we better do an angiogram because, I think you're going to need to have a bypass," you might want to do this 100%, like how to prevent and reverse heart disease. But if you're otherwise doing okay, you may just say, "Hey, I'll eat an extra serving of fruit or vegetable once a week," and then I'll kind of advance that the next week, another serving of fruit or vegetable or legume. We'll go into it in the magic of fiber, of how much fiber you get. The quick rule is for every legume, it's 7 grams of fiber. For every fruit, it's about 3 grams of fiber. For every vegetable, about 4. And for every whole grain, about 3 to 4. So you can kind of calculate about how much fiber you're getting in your diet. Any other questions? Are we good?
Yes.
Did we have fun?
I think you guys. Come next week, we have no preparation planning, and then you're on the newsletter, sign up, so we'll figure out. So maybe come to the potluck on Saturday at 6 at Island Park, but it might change last minute because the weather, we'll see.
Come to that on Saturday afternoon, and if you are really bored or you want to get a little extra air, Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, I'm going to be leading the walk with the dog from the Valley River. Yep.
So the flyers are back there. It's also on the website. Scroll down the homepage, you'll see the advertising.
So there's 2 events next Saturday.
Yeah. Potluck and the walk with the dog. Yeah. We'll see back here next Tuesday. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. You're very welcome. Thank you for sharing.
Hey there.
Hi.
First timer.
First time.
Lacey. Yeah. Where at Valley River.
Right. So.